Hey, welcome back to Insanity. I got myself a drink. Maybe I was thirsty, or maybe I'm having one of these. Okay, there's a part 2. God, so much reading. Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have cheek to awaken her in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered. She was on third watch today. Quietly collecting her things and wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep. She crept through the cavern's main passage, careful to not wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazard formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked toward the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved and Ravia waved back. Could be Ravia. Ravia sounds better. Sorry, it's not one thing, it's the other. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for manoeuvring in this tree post. A necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the efforts Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on third watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time, their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, and of course, but intimacy, never. Oh, okay. From their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Blackbridge was the link between the Gentry lands and the northern mountains. The overpass that connected Orris and Reddington. Jesus. My body isn't having it. To the city-faring travellers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travellers passed without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to our cavern house bandit, it was a source of constant annoyance. I feel that. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Rivia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, subtly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed an extended vocabulary. Wow. Gestures quietly forged in the shared solitude of their month among the branches. What is wrong with me? I'm seeing other words. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon. Squinting through the leaves, the two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sound of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later, two men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long grey coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Black Guard, although not an everyday occurrence. Their presence at Blackbridge wasn't an unusual sight. It typically indicated an important traveller's impending passage across the bridge, information that the girls would promptly relay to their leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Blackguard was nearby. I'm sorry, my throat and everything is acting up today. I don't know what's up with me. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses. Faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's. The same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like the typical carriage. Cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Oh God. I think I know what the carriage is. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking through the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go. River was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing toward the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a blackguard attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry. Before she even finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain, yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of this sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of the unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Eurasia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Geoffrey Heartslasher, what a name, led the others, cautiously approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward. In customary silence, a dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favourite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns. I have no idea what that word says. Oh. Honed? Oh, owned by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. I hate this fucking glass. They buried him in the darkness in the back of one of the larger cavern rooms. He was interred with a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighbouring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth. A far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of scurried footsteps and clattering of feet filled the space around her, but even in alarm, the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever heard spoken in the canyon. The growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed two bent fingers against Miller's cheek, and with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began. Blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. That is a horrifying... Ooh, that's a horrifying tale. How long did that take to read that? Jesus, how long's this book? Ugh. I'm not used to talking for that length of time. I take breaks. Alright. Okay, story time is... story time's over. I'm just moving about in the scene that's creaking about here. Alright, what was I doing? I was doing a something. Do you know what the something was? Because, I don't remember. Oh yeah, I wanted the what's it called room. I suppose that works. There was you know the one. I want the vault. I want the vault. As long as it's just full, I guess. The upper levels are locked off. Oh well. I wasn't willing to go in there. Neat. That story killed me. I suppose the commissary does allow something. It allows me to buy some stuff. And there's a shovel. I know I could have grabbed a shovel, but no shovel's really needed for where I want to go. Worst case scenario, go to the entrance hall. I'm just trying to see if I can get out. So there's a story about an effigy that absolutely wrecked people's lives. Interesting. Oh, the RV pizza. Ugh, been a while since I've had pizza. Could totally have one. Okay. I'm a long read. I'm not used to reading like that. Jeez. Too bad I didn't get an experiment with apples. Oh. I swear it would let me just... Oh. Forgot that, yeah. Okay. Got a couple. Could kill me. That's no use to me, bud. Always good to have something. Could be lost day, but we did get a book, I suppose. So it was about the number 8. What the fuck? Oh my god, a teensy tiny letter. Oh my, no. Uncle, in a few hours we are departing as planned. Oh god. We will be taking the old mountain way tunnels to the north. We'll go as far as we can by trolley until the rails give out, then we'll proceed on foot until we reach the southern border. I've never been as excited, nervous and heartbroken. I may never know if I've made the right decisions, but I've made the ones I felt my father might have, oh fucking hell, may have nodded in approval at. Jeez. I'm leaving a message for Simon here in the safe house. This unhallowed cavern that we have called home for the last year. If something should happen to me, please guide him to this place. Try to show him what these lost days were all for. Explain to him, if you can, the intersection between foolishness and doctrine, the thin wire we stood upon, above the world, holding hands and throwing stones. Holding hands and throwing stones. In those days, we were guilty of everything. As always, Mary. That's really quite sad. Oh, could have took... no. That would have been dead end. Got a key. Of course it did. Suppose I can make it all the way back to the break room. Hey doggies. Guess coat check is keeping that key for a little longer. Well, if I had gotten a freezer it would have been interesting. Yes, I got something. Can't be bothered grabbing the shovel because there's no point. All this for a book and no joy. I mean, okay, I'm missing a room here. The vault is a blue room. But it's pretty rare. Cost 3. Which one of those rooms is it? Yeah, the drafting studio. But is it one of those rooms or is it a green room? No, I don't think it's a green room. Conservatory. It is a green room. So maybe I sadly have 6 keys, 12 gems and 28 coins, but I'm gonna have to just say goodbye to them. So a hunch I had about the whole number 8 thing, because that's a very important number. Maybe it's because it looks, if you knock it on its side, it looks like infinity, but I don't know. Oh. there's the 8-ball. You would think something special happened, wouldn't you? Can you play? No. Alright. I'm gonna check behind there in a wee while. Okay. Finished part 2 of a story. I didn't know it was going to be story time, I'm sorry. Oh, alright. A bit of a shorter one, I think. But we finished the rest of the book. And we got another letter. That's something to think about. That's something to be proud of. Plus we've already bought a book, so next time we get the library we go and get ourselves that book. I'm not disappointed, I feel a wee bit tired. I must be bordering on a shutdown or something. I'm having a day. Right. If you like the progress, regardless of where it went, hit the like button. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're new, no, and you like what you're seeing, please do hit subscribe. You know, more people to entertain, I guess. It's always nice. I hope my reading wasn't too terrible for you. But hey, I'm sorry if I started saying words. It's that sometimes I'll glance down and then a word from another sentence, or my brain will make up another word with letters around it and it'll get inserted. It's weird. I do it with a lot of things. One thing I often think of is a sign that said, "Children eat for free," or was it kids eat for free, and my brain went, eat the kids for free, what? Kind of like, I'm getting some Hansel and Gretel up in here. That's what my brain made of that sentence on a sign. I thought, I just read that. That's a 5 Nights at Freddy's one for you. Okay, have yourself a good day, okay? Look after yourself. I'm gonna take a long lie down or something. Alright. Oh, no. We end the day. Let's call it a day. I really do hope you're having a good day. A corporate menagerie? Is that because they all the blue? It's because they all the blue in it. Okay. See you in the next episode. Bye.